Hey guys, are you ready to transform your mind so you can transform your life? Coach Mirna brings you one-on-one coaching and expert guests weekly to help you to grow. Because happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Looking for personal growth? Let's do it. This episode is brought to you by the Boss Babe Podcast, a show for entrepreneurs looking to start, grow, or scale a freedom-based business. Subscribe to the Boss Babe Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform to level up your business this year. That's the Boss Babe Podcast. Whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle. Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling superfood smoothies or offering organic omega-3s, Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform got you covered. Sign up for $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/transform, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/transform to take your business to the next level today. Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Magda Yam, and sitting in the guest chair today is Magda K, intimacy expert, Tantra teacher, and a conscious relating coach. And Magda and I are going to be talking today on the topic, No More Faking It, using Tantra to form deeper bonds. So, hey, it's one of those talks that we don't really feel comfortable doing, but, what we're talking here about us women speaking up for what they want and what they need, and then you guys need to listen. So welcome, Magda.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I do agree. We don't talk about this enough. And it's something that as women, we need to find more self-empowerment in doing. And yes, to all the men listening, please don't just listen to the episode, listen to your woman more as well. Because as you'll discover while we go through the conversation today, women still struggle to really speak the truth. And we need a bit of your support.
Yes, exactly. I love it. All right. So with that tantalizing introduction, let me give you a short bio. Raised in the Soviet bloc, Poland, where even discussion about sex were taboo, Magda avoided men until her late 20s. And after discovering Tantra, primarily for self-healing, she ultimately transformed her life and discovered her mission to empower others. Magda's approach blends Tantra teachings with social psychology to reignite sensuality, passion, and intimacy in everyday life. She's known for sharing tantric knowledge outside of tantric communities, having been a speaker at marketing and tech conferences such as Women Economic Forum, EO, and In Orbit. With over a decade of experience, Magda has helped countless individuals unlock deeper, more authentic connections and fulfillment in their relationships through her programs. Her book, No More Faking It, A Woman's Guide to Getting the Love, Pleasure, and Fulfillment She Deeply Desires, is a powerful guide written specifically for women seeking dating and relationship advice. Awesome. Right. Yes, you're right. You're your title is tantalizing. Hey, so as we start off, Magda, I'm curious. You said you went from going from, sex discussions being taboo in your culture to teaching tantric sex. That's quite a spread. How did that evolve for you?
Let's be honest. When I was a little girl, this is not the kind of future I envisioned for myself, and I think it still surprises me to see how life evolved for me. So, you know, when I was younger, I did feel very uncomfortable around anything related to relationships, men and sex. And so, I most of my connections happened when I was drunk or tipsy. Poland, we drink a lot of vodka. And so, I just kind of felt like I could just continue like this until I got into my first real relationship when I was in my late 20s. And, when you're in a relationship, there are things you cannot hide. And so it was becoming very obvious that I am blocked around my sexuality. So I wasn't having orgasm with this guy. And, we didn't have any tools to talk about this. And we're talking like, quite many years ago, when I think still it wasn't really a conversation. At least these days, we are having these conversations. There are books, there are courses, there is information online. Back then, it just wasn't really a thing. So it became an issue for him. He was taking it personally, and eventually we drifted apart. There was nothing else to save. And so when that relationship ended, it really kicked my ass. And I knew that there is something in my body that's blocking me to fully open. And this is really where I dove deep into healing, like alternative healing modalities and energy work. And a couple of healers actually asked me if there's any story of abuse because they could sense that energy in my body. It's like, well, no, nothing really happened to me. I spoke to my mom. She said nothing happened to her. So I really was puzzled. But there was certain recognition in what they were saying. Like I felt it was true. I just didn't know what it was. And so back at that time, I had heard the word Tantra. Again, I had no idea what it was. I just remember thinking that this Tantra sounds very sexy and mysterious. And if I ever train in Tantra, probably all men will want me. So that's my very limited superficial way of
very talented for sure.
So I thought it's all exactly about like some certain positions and strokes, etc. Oh goodness, I knew nothing. But I also heard about sexual Tantra and sexual healing practices. And so I knew that this is what I wanted. And, it wasn't available the way it is now. So I really wanted it. I was asking people. And finally, I met one person who knew something, then another person who knew something else. And I ended up first moving to India into an ashram and studied Tantra yoga there. Then I ended up in this tantric, or really sex cult community in Thailand for next I think like 5-6 years, something like that. And so I was going deeper into these practices. It was all for my own healing. In fact, through these different tantric techniques, I started releasing that energy of abuse. I started healing, and I could now understand what those healers saw in my body, those blockages. I was able to let them go, but it was all for me. And at that time, I was doing coaching, like life coaching on the side. And people were very curious about my own transformation. And they were just like, what are you doing? Tell me more, teach me. And at the same time, I was becoming really aware of how limited our knowledge around sexuality is. And notice, I don't even use the word sex. I say sexuality for a reason, because sexuality is so much bigger. It's a broad concept that our society really lacks. And so I was learning these incredible things. Like, for example, did she know that a woman can have 8 different types of an orgasm from genital stimulation? Like, we know the G-spot, but there are 3 other spots in the vagina that no one talks about. So I'm learning all of these crazy things, realizing that people just don't know it. And so how are we expecting to have good, intimate life if we don't even have enough knowledge and information? It's like, trying to drive a car without knowing how to drive. It's like, what are you expecting to happen? And so this is how eventually it started impacting the work that I was doing with my clients. And, eventually this became the core of my work. And then here I am.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of circlebacks there. So the first thing I'm curious about, were you blocked? Was there some kind of childhood trauma that you were repressing? Were you blocked, or what was happening with you that you couldn't experience orgasm?
So, when it comes to trauma, And it's interesting in different languages. For example, I'm Polish. In Poland, if you say trauma, it's like huge. Trauma means you were traumatized, that you need to see a psychiatrist now, basically. But really, especially in English, the word trauma, or Italian, as far as I know, it's not such a big thing. So trauma can be small. And in fact, trauma is anything that your nervous system cannot deal with in the moment. This is trauma. And so I don't have a specific story of one big event that happened, but I've always been very sensitive. And unfortunately, my childhood had some pathologies. So I don't come from the healthiest family. So all of it was really impacting my nervous system from the start. Yeah. Even when I was in my mom's womb, like there was a lot of shouting. So I was already very agitated and overly sensitive. And so from that state, when a small thing happens, it hits much harder. So I was never very resilient to things. My energy boundaries were very poor. And I grew up to be a people pleaser, to have an anxious, attachment style. So be very focused on other people, which means that any disappointment would really hit me hard. And it was just piling up. All of the things were piling up. There is a story. In fact, I started the book with this when doctors thought I had cancer, and I honestly thought I was going to die. My dad went through bankruptcy when I was a teenager, and I ended up having to be on my own at 17. It wasn't my choice. I just had to. So since 17, I've been on my own. And, all of these things happen and the body contracts around it. And for women especially, we have a tendency of hiding our pain inside of our vagina, because this is like this deepest place where I can squeeze things in so I never have to look at it. Yeah. So the trauma that can be blocking our sexuality doesn't have to be sexual trauma. And this is what I think we don't really understand. And it's one of my main messages, is that practically every woman on this planet needs sexual healing. So even if you don't have any big story that happened to you, chances are that some things have blocked you. And then think even about these little things that happened to us when we were children. So you're a little girl and, an uncle comes and he wants to hug you and he wants to kiss you and squeeze your cheeks. And it doesn't matter if you want it or not, you're being touched. And so from early age, girls are taught that our body doesn't depend on us, and whether we're touched or not doesn't depend on us. All the times when a man looks at you when you don't want to be looked at, all the time someone desires you when you don't desire them, that crosses our boundaries and that piles up, right? Creating numbness or physical pain in the body. So that's what was happening in my body. And just for one thing to be also clear, the way I look at healing isn't that you need healing or that you don't need healing. It's more of a scale. We all need healing, just sometimes more, sometimes less. It's a bit like, just because you took a shower this morning, it doesn't mean you'll never ever shower again. Yeah, right. But if you're not very dirty, you can just rinse yourself. And if you're very dirty, you're going to do more cleaning. And it's the same with taking care of our energy and different things we may be picking up. So I would also say that, yes, I released the majority of what was blocking me, but then it's like an ongoing thing. We got to be monitoring our body, our energy, and see, hey, am I picking up on something? Like, I had a really painful breakup. It closed me down. So I'm like, okay, what can I do about this? And it's more of like just flowing with where we are in life.
This episode is brought to you by the Boss Babe Podcast, a show for entrepreneurs looking to start, grow, or scale a freedom-based business. Hosted by Natalie Ellis, founder and CEO of Boss Babe, who has spent the last decade building businesses and perfecting the exact roadmap to build a thriving, profitable business that creates true freedom of time and money. Every week, Natalie dives into the things every entrepreneur needs to know to be successful, from strategies to grow an audience on social media, to building your sales engine in your business, to leadership, mindset systems, and more. Natalie's incredible. She will teach you how to build a highly successful and profitable business with insights from guests like billion-dollar founder Jamie Kern Lima. Mel Robbins will teach you how to finally get what you want. You'll learn the keys to winning in any economy with Lori Harder. These are just a few of the episodes that can completely change the trajectory of your life and business. All you have to do is press play and start implementing the strategies. Subscribe to the Boss Babe podcast on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform to level up your business this year. You don't have to figure it out alone. Start listening and get the support and roadmap your business need to unlock your next level of success. Hit subscribe and take one step in the direction of achieving even your most ambitious goals. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We all carry around different stressors, big and small. When we keep them bottled up, it can start to affect us negatively. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever is weighing you down. Several months ago, I noticed I was getting angry more often. And since that is not my personality, I knew that I was being triggered. So I sought out therapy. My therapist told me I was pushing things down and that I needed to catch and release these emotions. That really helped me manage my anger issue. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/TYM today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/TYM. This episode is sponsored by GoFundMe. A few years back, my goddaughter needed surgery in Guyana and lacked the funds through the surgery. My family started a GoFundMe fundraiser to help her get the surgery. She received the surgery and it saved her life. Research shows that people love to help others in need. So if you ever need to raise funds for surgery, funeral expenses, travel expenses, send in your kid to the Olympics, or even fund your book or movie project, GoFundMe is the most trusted place to raise funds, and it's a lot easier than you think. It only takes a few minutes to set up your fundraiser. With a community of over 150 million people, GoFundMe is the leader in fundraising. They help people help people. You can withdraw your funds at any time, even if you don't reach your goal. So, the next time you need help, head over to gofundme.com/transform and get started by tapping the green button. Asking for help is the smart thing to do. It's free to start, free to manage, and designed to help you reach your goals. Start your fundraiser today through my special URL, gofundme.com/transform. Also, as a Transform Your Mind listener, you will get a free coaching session with a GoFundMe expert. So whether you're starting a fundraiser for today or you want to set one up for the future, go right now to gofundme.com/transform. I love that. I've actually never heard that part. I love my work. I love talking to people. I love talking to experts because my brain just goes, whoop, you know? Yeah, I mean, I know that, I was telling you before we started recording that one of my last episodes was talking about women that do an orgasm with penetrative sex. So we all know that part. But I didn't know that orgasm or sexuality, as we want to use it, would also come from our past childhood, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
new information, and this is great. And I love that you have a story that is really interesting. That I mean, normally women that say, hey, you know what, I did an orgasm, that's, I love it when you say no more faking it, because a lot of women, that's what they do, right? So, but the fact that you decided that it was not normal, but you didn't want to accept that, and went deeper into it. But probably because this is your purpose, and that's what God used to steer you in that direction. So that was really good, a really, really good information for me and anyone that's listening. Now, the second thing that I want to circle back on is my association with Tantra and tantric sex, sexuality, energy, whatever you want it, is in the act where you prolong release so that it's more beautiful, but you're using it in a different way. So can you talk about that?
Yes. So I'm laughing because I think this is also what I thought. Like I told you at the beginning, my very limited understanding. I think especially when I first heard, like I was first interested in Tantra, I think I kind of mixed with Kama Sutra with just like all these mystical arts coming from India. And we also think that Kama Sutra is about positions, which is so not. Kama Sutra is a list of different arts.
I don't want to, let me interrupt you for a second. While you were talking originally, I remembered that I have the book Kama Sutra. But you think any guy, because it's for the men, you think any guy that I've ever had has ever read that thing? It's a big book and it sits on my bookshelf. But as you were talking originally, I remembered the Kama Sutra. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes, but it's a good point because see, this is a bit of a, the whole problem is that we have some really interesting resources. But you saying, did anyone read it? No, because we don't think of sex as something to learn. We don't think of sex as something to study and explore and experiment with. We think that sex is just something natural because we have an instinct what to do. And darling, it's not. Like if you think your first time, guys, anyone listening, think the moment how you lost your virginity. Like if sex was all intuitive, that experience would have been magical. Probably it wasn't because we just didn't know what to do. And then we learn it through experiences. But again, if all we ever have access to is really limited, then just by default, your sexual experiences will be limited by what you know. So back to Tantra, right? So yes, so I thought Tantra was probably something like Kama Sutra, just a list of positions, which again, Kama Sutra is way more than that. But what, now that I've lived in a tantric community and I dove really deep into this, so I consider myself a tantrika, meaning I feel like I live a tantric lifestyle. Tantra is really about how you are. It's a state of being. It's a state of being. What does it mean? I think the easiest way for people to grasp it is think of love. Love is not tangible. You can't really describe what love is. Even scientists are trying to limit love to chemicals in our brain. And yet we all know that this is not the whole story. But you've been in love, so you know what I'm talking about. And when you're in love or when you love someone, yes, actions matter. Actions matter. But it's the state that you're in. Like I can buy flowers for my mom or I can buy flowers for my wife and I'm doing the same act, but the energy that comes with it changes everything. So in Tantra, yes, we do certain practices, but the ultimate goal of these practices is to change your state of being. So some of the things that happen with tantric sex is you experience much more love and it's glimpses of unconditional love, which we don't really have access to. I know as humans, we like to think, oh yes, I love someone unconditionally. It's not true. Humans love conditionally. Everything is conditional. Even a mother's love is conditional. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we do massive practice on opening our heart chakra, then when you have sex, because you work on opening your body, so the energy can flow through you, like your kundalini, your sexual energy flows through your chakras, through your whole body, and you experience this massive activation in your heart. And so you can be having tantric sex with someone you don't even have a relationship with and experience more love and intimacy than maybe with your partner. But this only happens if your heart is already open. So we got to do practices to open the heart first. So it's not specifically about positions because you don't have to change the positions that you're using. You can still have quickies. You can do BDSM. And this can be tantric if you're open enough, if you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And so from that place, it's like, it may feel like the motion hasn't really changed, and yet the experience is a whole different story, right? And again, compare it to when you're in love. Maybe you do the same things for the person you're in love with than you do it for your friend, and yet you know that that relationship is just so much different because of how you feel, because of your state. So being tantric means stepping into that state of more openness, more vulnerability, more honesty, more transparency. So that's really what Tantra is for.
Okay, I love it. So thank you for that. And it's the first time I've heard that explanation. Of course, I didn't study it or live in it or anything like that. We just pick up something from the internet. All right. So, but I'm a meditator, and I meditate on my chakras, and I open up my heart chakra. And, I spend a lot of time because, the heart is the main, they're saying that your heart chakra is, when it's open, then yes, you be love, you become love, you send out, massive energy out to the world, because your heart is an antenna. It gives and receives. So why is not tantric? How do people go from open up their heart chakra to tantric opening up their heart chakra? I mean, yes, where's the bridge?
So the thing is that anything you'll be doing that's to do with your body or your energy, these are tantric practices. So breath work, beautiful. If you do yoga, but not the kind of yoga when you stretch. I mean, like yoga with your eyes closed, when you're focusing on the chakras that you're activating, you're doing Tantra.
Okay.
What makes Tantra a bit more unique or among all of these different practices is that we are trying to activate your energy. So we actually want the Kundalini awakening. So, for example, when you meditate, the things we do in meditation is we're trying to still the body, right? You breathe through the nose, you close your eyes, and you center yourself and you still yourself. That's actually the masculine energy. So when I say masculine, I don't mean most of us, when we talk masculine, feminine, we think that masculine is the giving and active and feminine is passive. But when I step on the higher level, masculine is the consciousness, which is pure consciousness, pure stillness. And the feminine energy, the Shakti, this is the active element. This is the energy. So in Tantra, we work with energy. We don't want to be in that still centered position. We want to activate the energy. But we don't just want to go into the energy and let it take over. So we do need to harness the power of stillness as well, because that's the container for the energy. So I'm working on, like, for example, meditation. So then I am strong enough that when my energy builds up and when my Kundalini goes through my spine and I start feeling and shaking, my inner masculine can hold all of this energy. So we're doing both of these practices, but that element of working with energy is crucial. So one of the main ways how someone can start exploring the benefits of Tantra is to start breathing through your mouth. So when you breathe through your mouth, you're actually, there are two things that happen. On the energy level, you get high on energy. And on the physiological level, you kind of start hyperventilating, so you can get dizzy. And so it's this state of, it's like you start feeling like you're on drugs. It's the state of ecstasy, but it's natural. You're inducing it in yourself through the techniques, not through any drugs or coffee or anything else. And so these are really the most, like, the core practices. And so the reason why sex has place in Tantra is because sex, activates so much energy. So it's so much easier to use sex as a spiritual practice here, because I'm already activating my energy and like so much of this energy, and then life force energy, and then I can move it instead of trying to like build up this energy in any other way. But basically, I would say for anyone, if you want to start practicing things, notice how you feel when you breathe through the mouth, but I'm talking like properly, not just like gentle breaths. I mean, you got to take this deep breath in, like, like you need to hear it and feel it. Give it like 2 minutes, because it's going to be hard, and notice how your body feels. That's the energy we want to activate and then learn to move through our body in Tantra.
Wow. This is great. So I'm assuming we're going to talk about it in the end, but you do coaching on this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right.
I do work with clients.
Okay, wow. Yes, listen, and listeners, you need help with this. I need help with this. Perfect. Well, listen, I love this.
Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Usually, improvements don't come overnight, but once in a while, one small fix can catapult you to the next level. If your commerce platform is holding your business back, you owe it to yourself to see what Shopify can do for you. Whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle. Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person POS system or offering organic olive oil on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, you're covered. And once you've reached your audience, Shopify has the internet's best converting checkout to help you turn them from browsers to buyers. Sign up for $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/transform, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/transform to take your business to the next level today.
Shout out to Claritin for supporting this episode and providing us with samples. This allergy season have been tough for me. The pollen number was the highest it's been in over 3 years. My nose was stuffed up, then it was running. I had the awful nasal drip in my throat and the sneezing. I was miserable. Luckily for those of us who live with symptoms of allergies, we can live Claritin Clear with Claritin D. Designed for serious allergy sufferers, Claritin D has 2 powerful ingredients in just one pill that relieve your allergy symptoms and decongest your nose so you can breathe better. If you're ready to live life as if you don't have allergies, it's time to live Claritin Clear. Fast and powerful relief is just a quick trip away. Ask for Claritin D at your local pharmacy counter. You don't even need a prescription. Go to Claritin.com right now for a discount so you can live Claritin Clear. Remember, use as directed for relief of nasal congestion, runny nose, sneezing, and itchy nose due to allergies. Do you believe in magic? Twilight Wing is a professional spiritual healer who want to help you access the spiritual realm to create change in your life. Do you require healing? Are you bothered by entities in the 4th dimension and would like to banish all unwelcome spirits? What about money? Twilight Wing can help you clear your money blockage. Visit Twilight Wings Magic on Etsy. Get one-on-one service and trusted 5-star spells that have worked since ancient times to discover wealth, rebuild your relationships, and help you find success. Visit Twilight Wings on Etsy by searching for Twilight Wings Magics and regain control of your spiritual well-being. That website again is TWILIGHTWINGSMAGICKS. Now, one of the things that I wanted to get to is one of the things in your bio, you said that you teach men to understand their women's mind and body so they can keep them happy. So I love that. I just mentioned to you that, yes, I've got this huge big Kama Sutra book and I've had it for like 20 years and not one single person that I've been with has read that, including my husband. So how do you teach men to understand, other than, like I mentioned, the clitoral stimulation, because women need a bit more than the man. What else can a man do?
So when it comes to female sexuality, the most important thing is safety. A woman needs to feel safe to open up. Now, safety is subjective. So for a lot of men, they may think, oh, but I'm a safe man. I didn't do anything wrong. Why wouldn't she feel safe? And one woman can feel safe. Yeah. And then another woman may not feel safe.
Yeah.
Because look, because a lot of it is the past. So I was telling you about my past, right? So because of so for example, I have in my family, there is a story of drinking. So if I've had experience of someone close to me being drunk when I was very young, and then I'm with my partner who maybe is out, and then come back late in the evening and he's tipsy or drunk, I'm going to get triggered much more than someone who doesn't have the same past. Okay. So it's my subjective way of reading a situation. Now, I have specific wounds. You have different wounds. Another person has different wounds. And so based on our wounding, we will be reading the situation in a different way. So men have to understand that the most important thing for women is to feel safe, okay? And it's not about what you consider to be safe for her. It's about what her nervous system considers to be safe. So a few things that a man can do. So asking women questions, like actually giving women a space to pause and reflect and say something. So women are not used to being asked. Like if you look at generations, women just, this is who you marry, you had nothing to say, right? Did you want to have sex? Who cares? Because your husband wants to have sex. Do you want to have kids? Again, who cares? Because that's your duty. And it's been like this for so many generations. We actually know, now this is not the spiritual Magda talking. We actually know what we have studies where we know that these things are being passed on genetically. So if generation after generation of women has been through that, do you really think you're not going to be impacted by this? Every woman is. Every woman is. And so we're not used to that we get to say no and that we get to say yes. And so a man may think, oh, but what's the problem? You could just say something. No, not really, because it's not easy for women, okay? It's a much broader conversation, but just for now, please trust me, it's not easy for us to say this. And oftentimes, we don't even know our truth because we're too disconnected from our own body. So asking her questions, and the key here is open questions. You don't ask her yes or no questions. So please don't ever ask her, did she come? Like just scratch that question out of your, vocabulary forever and ever.
It's a good question.
You want to ask her an open question?
That's an open question.
Yeah, ask her, how did you enjoy yourself? Or what did you like the most, right? Like, I guess like yes or no question could be like, next time, would you like more of this or that, right? But like, if you ask her, did she come or not? What do you think she's going to say? Like most women are really embarrassed to admit that they didn't come, or we don't want to hurt your ego. So you're kind of forcing us to say yes. And if I say yes once and I lied once, I'm going to lie again. So you want to make her feel that she gets to tell you things. So ask her open questions and ask her questions often. So that's number one. Number two, please don't assume anything. Men love to think that they know better what a woman wants. Even if you've been with like 40 women before and all 40 women liked something, it doesn't mean that your current woman will too. Please don't assume, okay? Let your woman guide you more. Ask her. Let her tell you what she likes. And if she says she doesn't know, then let's try it, but don't be attached. Way too often sex becomes about a man's ego than her pleasure. So please, please, please try to take your ego out of the bedroom. That's so helpful. And the third tip is slow down. Now, by slowing down, I don't necessarily mean that, anytime you have sex, it has to be slow and soft and last 1 hour. Again, like I said, quickies are tantric, BDSM and kink is just as tantric. Mostly by slowing down, I mean that you need to prepare a woman's body. And a woman's body doesn't get prepared 15 minutes before you penetrate her. It gets prepared for hours before that, okay? So this is the messages that you send her throughout the day. When you're at home, it's the moments when you grab her waist and kiss her, when you look at her with desire, all the little things that make a woman think about sex and anticipate. If you don't do this, and then you think that within 10 minutes, she's going to be ready for penetration, she's not. And she's not going to have deep orgasm, or she's not going to orgasm at all. And another thing I always tell men is oral sex is not foreplay. Maybe it's for you, but not for a woman. For a woman, oral sex is already sex. So when I say, and you know this, that women need foreplay, I mean everything before that. Okay? Yeah. Exactly. The things you tell her, how you touch her, engage her full body for at least 15 minutes before you go for the genitals or breast. That is true foreplay. So slow that part down. And I'll give you a secret for all the men who like quickies and like something more intense. If you know how to play with her throughout the day so that she's always gently aroused, like her sexual energy is always activated, then you can have your quickies. But if you don't do anything and she's cold, then you may even need an hour of foreplay before you can penetrate her. So it's like, it's good for you too, But as women, for us to want to have sex in the evening, we have to be thinking about the sex throughout the day. So help us think about the sex. So this will be my main tips for men.
I love that. Going deeper than just clitoral stimulation, which a lot of people don't know to do properly.
And look, I mean, I know you have a whole episode about this, so we're not going to go in depth here. But here's the thing. Apart from the fact that most men don't stimulate the clitoris the way that women want it, but it's not all about clitoris.
You just opened up the whole thing. I remembered myself, and it's very true. That's what you call romance. It's beautiful. It is not just in the bedroom. It happens throughout the day, or going dancing and touching, and then coming home, and it's the whole thing. So anyway, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and listen, it depends on the woman. We have different sexuality types, and like, for some women, clitoris is not the best part of their body. They still enjoy it, but there are going to be other places that are actually kind of nicer. For me, for example, I love my perineum to be activated, but you again have to know how to do it and when. There's some women actually really love penetration. So again, don't think that like clitoris is this magical button that as long as you press it, then you're a good lover. That's not how it works. Remember, a woman can have an orgasm and still have bad sex, because it's not about that. It's about that level, like you said, connection and intimacy. So focus on that.
Yes.
That's essential.
Yes. That is so true. And I know that is definitely me. Oh, I love the question. I love the answer too. All right. So there's another question I had here for you that I'm curious about. How can couples increase their polarity? Again, let me tell you what I think about polarity, right? So right now, my husband works out of town, so we're not really together during the week. We're on the weekend. And that has made our level of intimacy great, because we miss each other. And I've been hearing, little snippets on the internet. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow talking about how she is living in a different house from her husband because of this polarity thing. So that's what I think of polarity, but I'm thinking that you're going to use it in a different way. So,
well, no, actually, I love what you're saying. And I didn't know this about Gwyneth Paltrow, but yeah, absolutely. It's one of the ways. In my ideal scenario, I would live in a house. I would have a lot of money in my ideal scenario, and I would have this massive house where my partner has his own room. I have my own room, and then we have a common bedroom. So that's like 3 bedrooms. So I get it. It's not very available, but I think it's great. I think it's great. I think just like we talk about men caves, well, as a woman, I want my cave. I want my place. So absolutely. So what you're saying is really good. And this is a great strategy to keep polarity. So basically, you can think of it this way. There are 2 forces necessary for an intimate relationship. One force is closeness and familiarity, or in fact, familiarity is a type of closeness, right? Like we're close through knowing each other, through having similar hobbies or values, etc. And that creates love. We need love. Now, sexual desire needs distance. So it needs the exact opposite. And so for a relationship to work, we got to play with these two opposites. So you can think of it a little bit like a scale. Okay, do we need to come closer together because maybe we're losing love and intimacy? Or do we need to come a bit more apart because we've become more like housemates than lovers? And so you want to look at it as like a living organism. And it's the same what I talked about with healing. We never ever want to assume, okay, we got it, and let's just keep things like this, because that's not how life works. We always have to be monitoring our relationship, like be checking in with our partner, with ourselves, how we're feeling, do we want to adjust anything, and respond to life. Because look, there will be moments when, like let's say someone is together and suddenly one partner needs to move away for 2 months, right? It's a sudden change. So we have to respond to life. But basically, yes, polarity is, you can think of magnets. If I put two magnets in a drawer together, after a while, they're not going to attract each other because I've neutralized the polarity. It's the same with batteries, right? If we keep batteries like together, they stop working because closeness eliminated polarity. And so it's the same with our energy. So we're looking, what can be creative ways to create distance in a relationship? Okay. Again, not too much because we still need closeness for love, but how can we create distance? One of the things is exactly what you mentioned. So if you don't live together or you spend a few days a week separate, you have your closeness. If you have separate bedrooms or separate houses, that's your distance. But it can also be, you have your own hobbies and I have mine. Like there may be some things we don't do together. That's another way to be distant. Maybe once a week you go out with your guys and I go out with my girls, that's our distance. I think it's also a good idea for partners to travel. And at that time, we're not in touch with the partner. Like, let's say I go on holiday and then I'm not messaging my partner. So he gets to wonder what I'm doing. And like, no, I'm not going to tell you. Let there be some, secrecy between us. Again, that's distance. Yeah. So you want to be creative with this. And remember, distance is in space or time. In space, very, very clear, right? Like we're physically separating ourselves, but there's also distance in time, and that's anticipation. So if, for example, you will say, okay, like I'm going to meet you on, let's say, Saturday next week, and I'm going to take you for a beautiful date, and then I'm going to rent a hotel room, and we're going to have passionate sex. Now you're looking forward to it because I created distance exactly with time. So don't forget about that either.
Yes. Okay. Wow. Boy, this is like sex school and life school.
Yes.
And school.
And I said there's so much to learn, and this assumption that, I don't need to. It's like, guys, and like if you're enjoying this conversation, again, there's so much more. Like it's such a beautiful area of human life to explore. Yeah.
I love it. Yes, I'm very interested. I'm definitely going to get your book and also try to find out some more information. All right, so let's talk about your book now. You had mentioned to me before we started the recording that it's not all just about sex. Your book is called, it's called No More Faking, A Woman's Guide to Getting the Love, Pleasure, and Fulfillment She Deeply Desires. So tell us what your book is about, why you wrote it, and what do you want women to walk away with after reading?
So yes, the title is a bit cheeky. And the title, why did I choose this title? Because I think when a woman sees the title, we all have a reaction because we've all been there. We've all done this. Yeah. And the point is that if we're honest with ourselves, there are other places in life where we fake it. Like if a woman fakes orgasm, that means she's faking it somewhere else too. And that's I think this is a bit of a story of being a woman. You just smile, pretend everything is fine when things are not fine, right? I don't know, like if you've ever been in this situation, but I know I have, and I've seen this with so many other people. When, let's say, a man does something or a man cheats, or, like a man maybe is leaving a family or he did something horrible, but then a woman is like, no, I'm gonna protect his, image and pretend like everything is fine. Maybe a mother is exhausted, but you have to pretend that you're so happy, being a mother, you never get angry, you're never tired. And there's so much of that. Let's say you're at work and again, you didn't get recognition for your idea because another louder person did. And you're just like, yes, it's all good. It's fine, And I think we really go through life. Women are so used to enduring things. It's like something doesn't work, but we're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. It's okay, right? We just keep saying like, yeah, that's okay. And, if you do it a few times, it's indeed okay. But we do it very often. And every time we do this, we're telling ourselves that what I need doesn't matter, that my boundaries don't matter. And when that starts piling up, you're actually creating trauma. So it's a form of self-abuse. And it is very serious because, like I said at the beginning, even with my story, I didn't have one big event, but there's so many little things happening in my life that eventually closed my sexuality. And so the book is for women to be able to actually understand what it is that you need at any given point in your life so that you don't have to endure anything, but so that you can get exactly what you want. And I know this may feel like, too good to be true, but this famous, it became a bit of a thing a few years ago online, all of these quotes of like, unless it's a fuck yes, it's a no. But then how often in life do you feel that something is a fuck yes, 100% yes? Practically never. And so what this book is about is actually helping you to get to the place where something feels 100% yes. Because very often it's a small thing that we need to change for us to feel, okay, now I'm in full alignment to do it, right? So I'll give you some example. Let's say with sex. So often, women just have sex with someone even though we don't really want to. Like there's a part of us that is like, oh, I don't really want to do it, but fine, let's do it because he wants to. I don't want to upset him, and all of the other reasons we may find, right? But
the Christianity rule is, your body belongs to your husband. And and you should do it, right?
It's your responsibility. Yeah, there's that story too. And so and so we do something that's actually against us. Like, and if it's sex, we're talking about actually a form of sexual abuse. Like this is very serious. But what you may discover is that all you needed was, let's say, for him to, I don't know, give you a shoulder massage first, right? And if you get like 5-10 minutes of shoulder massage, then you may discover that your body is a full yes to sex. And it's not a big thing to ask, right? But unless you know. So first is a woman needs to know how to recognize whether she's 100% yes or if there's some part of her that says no. That's step number one. Step number two is she needs to understand what this inner no is about. And once you know it, then you can ask for it. And I guarantee you, in most cases, the other person will say yes. Because often these are small things that we need to change. And so this is what the book is about. The book is about your 4 power centers, which are your 4 best friends, if you know how to use them. And they give you that information. So they guide you into what it is that you need so that you are in full alignment. Honestly, as women, we need to stop outsourcing our power. We don't stop ask other people, our husband, our father, our coach, astrology, priest, whatever, oracle cards. We always ask something external because we don't trust ourselves. But if you learn how to speak to yourself and how to source information from yourself, then you actually will be able to trust yourself. It's just you have to know how to do it. Because if you don't know how to source the wisdom from within, then of course you don't trust it. Right? Like you wouldn't trust a broken car, but let me fix that for you. Let me show you how to use that. And that's what the book is about. So all of it essentially is about, like, this is for me true empowerment. And when a woman masters that, you'll see that your sex life changes immediately. Because you will no longer end up in situations when you're just like, yeah, let's just go with it. No. Like, you need to be getting exactly what you want. Your needs and boundaries need to be honored in the bedroom. Unless that happens, you're never going to become orgasmic or multi-orgasmic. It's not about what he does to your clitoris or what position you guys are using. unless you, remember, feel safe, right? And for that, you cannot be abusing yourself. So I honestly, I wish every woman could read this book. I really, really do. And if it wasn't written by me, I would still be promoting and recommending it.
No, I mean, listen, this entire conversation has been eye-opening from the get-go with your personal story. I mean, it's opened up the whole gamut of this conversation. And yeah, I mean, listen, yes, there's so many women that go through life that do not ever feel orgasmic or do not have men pay attention to their needs because, like I was talking in my last episode on this topic, a man can orgasm in 5 minutes. Yeah, and they're just done, right? And they don't spend the time, anyway. So this is amazing. So what you're saying now is that, yes, the woman should resume control of her sexuality and say, well, hey, if you want to come here, then it's got to be something in it for me too, right? And yeah, I mean, and what you said about the all day long thing, right? Where you wake up in the morning and you get a text saying, I'm thinking about you, or at work, I'm thinking about you. And then you come home in the evening and we cuddle and you just rub my feet and all these different stuff. But you know what? They only do that for a little while. Maybe when they're courting, but then when you're married, they just totally ignore you.
Yes. So I think this is a good point you just mentioned. It's like when they court a woman, because this is a strategy for a man to get a woman.
Yes.
Like a lot of men are great at getting a woman, but they're really bad at keeping a woman.
Yes.
So men change it. It's not about getting her. It's about keeping her.
Keeping her. Right. So yeah, I mean, as you were talking, I remembered that and how beautiful it was for that romance and that whatever that. So now what you're saying is we need to ask for it, right? But your book is teaching us how to do it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I was so learned too. So that's amazing. So tell our listeners how they can connect with you. I'm assuming your book is on Amazon. If you have a website, your social media handles, that kind of thing.
Yes. So you guys, you just feel free to Google Magda Kay, Magda Kay, and anything you're going to find is going to be about me or a DJ. There's 2 people online with this name. I am not a DJ, so anything else is going to be about me. But you can visit my website, magdakay.com, to read more about the services that I offer if you're curious and interested. I love connecting with people on YouTube. Again, it's Magda Kay. And on Instagram, it's Magda Kay Official. So these are the main channels where I post information. And about the book, No More Faking It. So yes, it's on Amazon. Not only, it's also available in quite a lot of other online stores. But we do have the physical book through Amazon and the audio version through Amazon as well. And because we are, I am
that audio book. It's the books now.
But because I am celebrating 1 year anniversary of the book, actually right now we are still running a special promo, and you can get the Kindle version for just $1. So it's $1 for 1 year. So if you would like to read it now, and you're okay with the digital version, then just $1 and it's yours.
Wow. Listen, did you hear that, guys? This kind of, resource for $1. And even if you miss the June special, then and you're listening to this podcast, because this is an evergreen podcast, you're listening to this podcast, maybe a couple months out, this is some really good information. Take back your sexuality, take back your power, understand how to move your energy, understand how to get into the tantric space and to open up your heart chakra, and because it not only does well for you in the bedroom, but I have been working with my heart chakra and my energy bodies because it opens up all areas in life. We're all energetic beings, and
yes.
And when you learn to work with your energy, then you manifest things come to you a whole bit. So, yes, this is a powerful resource. And, yeah, I'm gonna, listen to the Kindle version. I mean, the audio version, and then
the audio version, girl. Yeah.
Yes, you have to pick up a hard copy too, because I have a library and good books like my chemistry book. It's in my library.
Oh yeah, just put it right next to it.
See, exactly. Wow, this has been highly entertaining and educational, Magda. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And like you said, you soaked in it. You know it very well. Like you live in the community, so you know your work very well. So I love it. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. If you're listening to this on iTunes, would love for you to, subscribe and post a review. Whether you want to talk about this conversation or any of the other guests that I've had on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd love for you to, come on, give us a comment.
Yes.
And really get into this conversation. I'm going to have a transcript of my conversation with Magda on the show page, which is myhelps.us, with links to her book and her website and her social media handles, so you can follow and get some more information. Magda, as we wrap up, any last words?
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me. And to all the men, I would say, if you see any book around sex or Kama Sutra or this book, No More Faking It, on your woman's shelf, just grab it and read it. She's going to appreciate it. And for all the women, honestly, try those books. I think, you know what? I think it's all about cultivating the sense of curiosity, right? That we know what it's like to be curious about life and the world. Just keep the same attitude here. You have no idea what else is out there, what else is possible. So it's only up to us if you want to explore it. So be curious and be open.
Yes, for sure. And you know something? As you were talking, I just remembered that one of the reasons men should want to please their women is because it reverts back to their sexual experience. When the woman is into it, when she's feeling good, their experience is heightened.
Yes.
So that's
the saying goes. Happy wife, happy life, and the saying comes from somewhere.
Yes. All right, guys. I love what I do. I love having these stimulating conversations. I love learning. Magda, I'm definitely gonna, read your book and maybe get some of your services as well, because I like this stuff.
I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's been such a lovely conversation. I do hope that you guys get value from this and that you get inspired.
You give a ton of value.
Thank you.
Yes. So, yes, great content. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Transforming Your Mind to Transform Your Life. Today, we're talking about transforming your sex life. So I hope that you were able to take away a lot of nuggets from this conversation. Pick up a copy of Magda's book. Maybe, hire her for some of her tantric coaching sessions or whatever she gives. And definitely, become, exposed to this information. Make it expand your mind, expand your consciousness. And, you will be able to transform your life. Okay. All right. Yes. Thanks again. Until next time. Namaste.